The hushed reverence of the National Military Museum hung heavy in the air. Senator Theron Finch, a man accustomed to commanding attention, swept past the exhibits, a sneer barely concealed. He had no idea this visit would unravel his carefully constructed world. Senator Theron Finch strode through the National Military Museum's Hall of Honor, his custom-tailored suit almost too loud in the solemn space. He tugged at his cufflink, muttering to his young aide, "Another one of these charades, huh? All this pomp and circumstance for, what, dust collectors and faded memories?" His voice, though low, carried an unmistakable air of dismissive superiority. He gestured vaguely at a display case holding a rusty helmet. "Honestly, this is precisely why our military needs a budget overhaul. We fund theatrical productions, not actual deterrence." Around them, visiting families and a scattering of older white veterans shifted uncomfortably, their murmurs dying down to strained silence. Finch, oblivious, continued his critique. "It's all so archaic. Real power is built in boardrooms and on the Senate floor, not in glass cases filled with relics." He ran a hand through his perfectly coiffed hair, scanning the grand hall with an expression that conveyed utter boredom. He thought himself above such sentimentality. At the far end of the long hall of honor, near a life-sized bronze sculpture of a World War II soldier, stood a figure who seemed carved from the very spirit of the place. He was an elderly African-American man, perhaps in his early 70s, dressed in a simple, dark jacket, its fabric showing signs of honest wear. His posture, however, was as ramrod straight as any active-duty drill sergeant, betraying decades of ingrained discipline. A few faded but meticulously polished medals rested on his chest, silent testament to a past lived with profound courage. His face, a canvas of deep lines and untold stories, was turned towards the endless rows of names etched into the wall, his gaze unwavering, fixed on something far beyond the present moment. His dark skin, rich with the wisdom of age, seemed to absorb the soft museum lights, creating an aura of quiet dignity. He stood utterly motionless, not a blink, not a twitch. Visitors, particularly African-American families and other veterans, slowed their pace as they neared him. They spoke in hushed tones, some offering almost imperceptible nods of respect, recognizing something profound in his silent vigil. He was more than a man, he was a living monument. Senator Finch's eyes, restless and searching for something to mock, landed on the motionless figure. A smirk played on his lips. "Well, look at this," he drawled, his voice a little louder now, carrying easily across the polished floor. "Still playing statue, are we? This outfit's certainly humble, almost as humble as this Hall of Fame itself." He took a few deliberate steps closer, his polished shoes clicking sharply against the marble. "Honestly, I hardly recognize the point of these displays. All this, what, tradition? Seems more like an excuse to stand around doing nothing." He chuckled, a dry, humorless sound. "And I bet he gets a pension for it too. Must be nice." A few African-American visitors stiffened, their expressions darkening. One older woman, holding a small child, subtly pulled the boy closer. A white veteran in a ball cap gritted his teeth, his hand clenching into a fist. But the elderly African-American man remained perfectly still, his gaze fixed, as if the senator's words were nothing more than a passing breeze. Finch, emboldened by the lack of response, took another step. The tension in the air thickened, quiet but unmistakable, a silent challenge laid bare. Emboldened by the veteran's unwavering stillness, Senator Finch escalated his performance. He strode directly in front of the elderly man, invading his personal space. His voice dropped slightly, taking on a condescending edge. "Listen, old-timer," he began, then tapped the veteran's chest lightly, directly on one of the faded medals. "I'm a United States Senator, a member of the Armed Services Committee. I demand you loosen up. Or better yet, give me a salute." He leaned in conspiratorially, his eyes glinting with a calculated cruelty. "You know, your kind probably never saw much real action anyway, stuck in the back lines, I bet. The casual racism hung in the air, a venomous thread woven into his command. A gasp rippled through the onlookers. Several African American families visibly flinched, their faces etched with pain and anger. The museum staff looked on helplessly, protocol forbidding intervention unless a direct physical threat emerged. But the veteran remained a stone. His gaze, however, seemed to deepen, becoming an abyss of unspoken history, a silent testament to countless indignities overcome. It was a stillness that felt more powerful than any shouted retort, an unyielding defiance that made the senator's words sound hollow and pathetic. The senator's hand, still resting brazenly near the veteran's chest, lingered a moment too long. Then, with a suddenness that startled the onlookers, the veteran moved. His calloused, dark hand, seemingly out of nowhere, rose with calm precision. It wasn't a push, nor a shove, but a definitive, controlled motion that gently, yet firmly, removed Senator Finch's arm from his person. The crowd collectively gasped. Then, the veteran spoke. His voice was low, resonant, and devoid of anger, yet it carried an undeniable authority that echoed through the Hall of Honor. "Sir," he began, his eyes still fixed on the distant wall of names, "in this sacred hall, we salute honor, not titles. My duty is to remember." The words, delivered with quiet intensity, landed like thunderclaps. A ripple of applause erupted, hesitant at first, then growing louder. Tears welled in the eyes of several African American visitors, and a wave of quiet admiration spread through the diverse onlookers. The senator, momentarily stunned, could only blink. The tables had just irrevocably turned. Just as Senator Finch was attempting to compose himself, a figure moved swiftly from the museum's administrative wing. It was Dr. Evelyn Reed, the museum's esteemed director and a retired Air Force colonel, her sharp features framed by neatly coiffed gray hair, her uniform crisp and authoritative. Beside her, two distinguished Army generals, one male, one female, their chests adorned with ribbons, followed. Dr. Reed's voice, calm but imbued with undeniable authority, cut through the buzzing whispers. "Senator Finch," she stated, her gaze unwavering, "there appears to be a misunderstanding of our hallowed ground." She then turned to the silent veteran, her voice softening with deep respect. "Ladies and gentlemen," she announced, addressing the now captivated crowd, "this is General Alistair Vance, a man whose very presence embodies the spirit of this museum. He served with unparalleled distinction in 3 wars, World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. He was among the first African American officers to break the color barrier in combat units, leading his troops with valor even when facing prejudice from within his own ranks." She paused, letting the weight of her words settle. "General Vance has earned multiple Purple Hearts, a Silver Star, and the Distinguished Service Cross. His silence is not defiance, Senator," she concluded, her voice gaining steel, "it is the highest form of discipline and a testament to the sacrifices of those who fought not just for freedom, but for equality." The senator's face, which moments ago held such disdain, now drained of all color, a mottled patchwork of red and white. His previous arrogance completely dissolved, replaced by a profound, almost desperate embarrassment. He stammered, attempting to form a coherent apology or excuse, but only garbled sounds escaped his lips. The sudden shift in his demeanor was palpable. Cell phones, previously hesitant, were now openly raised, recording the senator's visible discomfort. Every click of a camera and every whispered comment felt like a hammer blow to his carefully cultivated public image. The museum's hushed atmosphere was shattered by the buzzing of the crowd, now openly discussing the revelation. General Vance remained perfectly still, his gaze still fixed on the wall of names, his silent dignity amplified 1,000-fold by the exposed truth. His medals, which Senator Finch had dismissed as mere trinkets, now gleamed like beacons of hard-won history. The moment stretched, agonizing for the senator, empowering for the onlookers. He, the man of political power, stood utterly exposed, his prejudice laid bare for all to see. From the edge of the crowd, a distinguished-looking white man in his 60s, wearing a simple blazer but with campaign ribbons pinned to his lapel, stepped forward. He paused respectfully a few feet from General Vance, then slowly, deliberately, brought his hand to his temple, delivering a crisp, textbook military salute. He held it for a long moment, his eyes filled with quiet reverence, then lowered his hand and nodded slightly before stepping back into the crowd. Then, a young active-duty female officer, her uniform impeccable, followed suit, her salute equally precise. One by one, other veterans, both black and white, and even some civilians moved by the powerful display, stepped forward to offer their own silent tributes. The ripple of respect grew into a wave, a testament to the enduring bond of service and the recognition of true honor, transcending race and rank. Senator Finch watched, his jaw tight, his usual bluster completely gone. His aides whispered urgently for him to leave, but he remained frozen, perhaps for the first time in his life, truly humbled. The silence that had once seemed subservient now commanded his attention, a powerful lesson unfolding before his eyes. Finally, Senator Finch turned, his shoulders slumped, and walked silently towards the museum exit. He didn't look back, didn't offer a single word of apology. His departure was a retreat, a stark contrast to his arrogant entrance. His face remained etched with a complex mix of mortification and perhaps, a flicker of something akin to understanding. General Vance remained, an unwavering sentinel in the Hall of Honor, his silent vigil undisturbed. The incident, however, exploded online, becoming a national conversation. News outlets debated the senator's conduct, while social media erupted with stories of African American veterans and their overlooked contributions. The museum saw a surge in visitors, drawn by the story of silent dignity and the powerful lesson it imparted. It became a pilgrimage site for those seeking to understand respect, honor, and the enduring fight for equality. Reflection: true strength isn't found in titles or authority, but in the unwavering spirit of those who serve with integrity, regardless of background. Respect isn't demanded, it's earned through selflessness and an unwavering commitment to principle, a truth that transcends rank, race, and even the highest office. Interaction: what do you think Senator Finch learned from this profound encounter? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and show your respect for all who serve. If this story of honor and dignity resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Tap that notification bell so you don't miss tomorrow's powerful uploads. Do you know someone who needs to see this? Someone who could use a reminder about what true respect means? Share it with them. And hey, if you're hungry for more powerful moments just like this one, check out these other videos popping up on your screen right now.